Well, what's up, Fusion? How y'all doing tonight? Are you doing good? Well, welcome to 2023. Are you glad you're here? Okay, I don't know if you are. Look at your neighbor and say, I made it. Now look at your other neighbor and say, you made it. Woo, and look at somebody behind you and say, whoo, I can't wait for 2023 to see what God's going to do. Tell them all that right now. 1, 2, 3, go. So much chaos. Y'all can do this online as well. That's all good. Well, students, I'm so glad that you made the decision to get here tonight. If we have yet to meet, my name's Tashawn. I have the privilege of being the student pastor here. I want to welcome our online Fusion fam. So glad you're here with us. And y'all, we're beginning a new series tonight called ProTip. ProTip, and this is the one thing that can make you better at life. I don't know about you, but as I look at the new year, man, I want to be better than I was last year. Listen, y'all, I am not where I want to be, but I want to look back at the last year, and I want this year to be better than last year, than in 2022. 2023 is going to be a great year. Before we dive into our discussion tonight, I want to tell y'all that, man, I had a great Christmas break. Did anyone have a phenomenal Christmas break? Anyone have a good time? Anyone's Christmas break like, I don't know, really wasn't that good. It was just okay. Hopefully this message speaks to you on a personal level. But here's the reality. I had a great time with the family at home. My son and my kids, they're just in a really fun age. My son, Kyron, he's 4 years old. And man, he's just at that age to where like he can do more things than he could when he was my daughter's age. Like all she can do right now is poop, pee, cry, and sleep. Like that's pretty much all she can do. But Kyron, he's at a different age. He's so much fun. Same with Kobe. But one of the things that he wanted to do over break was bake Christmas cookies. Anybody bake some Christmas cookies? Yeah, okay, well, if you didn't, I'm sorry for you. But here's the reality. We were baking cookies as a family. Here's a picture of us as we were baking cookies at home. Kyron's got on his hat. I don't know why he does. We do keep the heat on in the Avery household. Kobe is not interested in making the cookies. She's just trying to get some grub. But Kyron is really focused on making these Christmas cookies because he follows after his dad. He's not a chocolate chip guy. He's a sugar cookie guy. And that's what I am. I'm a sugar cookie guy. Who are my sugar cookie people? Okay, all right. Who are my chocolate chip people? Okay, that's good. Good for you. Good for you. But here's the reality. As Kyron and I were making these cookies, I told him, I said, hey, buddy, listen. He's like, Dad, what do we need to do to make these sugar cookies? I said, Kyron, sugar cookies have got to have these special ingredients. There's some things that we've got to get if we're going to make the perfect sugar cookie, the best sugar cookie. And so he said, well, Dad, I want to make like these Christmas cookies. We want these cookies to be different than any other cookies. I said, okay, buddy, you want Christmas cookies? He's like, yeah. He's like, I want like a rocket ship cookie. And I'm like, a rocket ship cookie? That's not like a Christmas thing. Like you say you wanted a Christmas cookie, like Christmas cookies, it needs to be Christmas related. So he's like, well, what does that mean? So we do what all people do when they're looking for something. We go to Target. So we went to Target and we're in the baking section. And in the baking section, they had these different forms, these different molds, cutouts, if you will, of different cookie styles. And I asked Kyron, hey, what kind of cookie do you want? Do you want a Santa cookie? Do you want a Frosty the Snowman? Do you want a Rudolph? Like, what do you want? Because there's so many different options here. And Kyron's like, hey, I want Santa, right? Of course he wants Santa. So he chose the Santa cookie. And then I looked at my princess, Kobe Quinn, and I said, hey, like what do you want? More or less just point. Because she's not like, oh, I want the Santa one. She's kind of like, die. Like that's the way she picked. She's like, die. And so that's the one she wants. So she chose this one. This is the angel cutout. Okay, so Kobe wanted the angel cutout. Kyron went with the Santa one. So then we get back home. And we began to like put together these Christmas cookies. And Kyron's like, hey, Dad, like I want to pour the sugar. So I'm letting him pour the sugar in. He's pouring the flour. And yeah, we're having a great time. After we make the dough, then we use these molds and we cut out the dough. And then after that, we remove this and then we put them in the oven to bake. Because if you eat these cookies before they're baked, it's going to make you what? He's going to make you sick. Okay, it's going to make you sick. Raw egg, not a good idea. So here's the reality. They spent time baking in the oven. And here's the reality. I share this story with you tonight because I want you to know something. That we are all being formed into the image of something. That all of us are spending time in this oven called life, and we are baking in this world, and we're becoming and being formed by the thing that we have kind of chosen to be cut out by. And let me tell you what I know about this world. The problem with this world is that this world offers us so many molds. Okay, what do I mean by molds? A mold is a cutout, a form. This world offers us so many options of who we can be, of how you can live your life. And the problem with the world's molds and us choosing them is that it can leave our lives looking and smelling moldy, to where we live distasteful lives. That's why there's so much confusion in our world. Confusion around what simple things. Like, we're facing confusion in this century with things that we've never faced confusion about. Like, what is a man or what is a woman? Like, now we have to identify, like, what that is and define it. Like, confusion around identity, confusion around purpose, like what you were created to do. It's because we spent time, so much time baking in the world's oven, and we're living these, some of us, distasteful lives. And that's why tonight we've decided as a Fusion team to really shape 2023 around this one word we feel will be the pro tip, the way that you become better at life around this one word, and this one word is discipleship. We're talking about discipleship tonight. In 2022, we really challenge you to examine your faith. Do you have a faith walk? What does it look like to grow in your faith? And we said, hey, if you're gonna grow in your faith, that growing in your faith means that you need to be obedient. Obedience in motion, that's how you grow your faith. Whatever God is asking you to do, that you do those things. But this year, we're focusing on this word discipleship, and we wanna look at it through the life of Jesus, because his life is the mold. His life is the cutout that we're to follow. And he gives us his spirit, and his spirit makes us and gives us the ability to spend time in the presence of God. That's the metaphorical oven, if you will. That as we spend time with Christ in the presence of God, we will be shaped to look more like Christ. See, students, as the baker relies on the mold to give them the image they want, we rely on the Spirit to shape us. So I want to ask you, what is discipleship? Well, let me go ahead and define it for you. I want you to write this down. Discipleship is the process of being formed into the image of Christ for the sake of others. Like, this word is so important because the process of being molded and formed into the image of God, that is discipleship. This word could change your life if you engage, if you participate in discipleship. What I'm trying to help you see is that when you get to the end of your life, discipleship is the one thing that will help your life look like the life of Jesus as he walked on this earth. Discipleship is the way that we grow in our image of Christ. And I want you to understand that discipleship is about self-denial, it's about relationship and multiplication. The thing I love about this word is that Jesus first modeled the way for us to be discipled and to disciple. And he showed us like why it's so important that we are a part of discipleship. He gives us all the pro tips on what it looks like to follow him, but he also gives us a warning that if we choose not to follow him, to engage in discipleship, what our life will end up looking like. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 16, 24. This is what Jesus told his disciples. He said to his disciples, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Point number one that I want you to understand is that discipleship is about self-denial. Discipleship is about self-denial. Y'all, as we begin this year, it's new beginnings, new programs. Anybody make some resolutions out there? Y'all make resolutions? Some people choose words of the year. Who in here said, I didn't make no resolution. I just woke up the next day and it was 2023. Okay, this message is for you. Woo! All right, but here's the deal. I decided to jump on the fad. I decided to make a resolution that I needed to grow in 2023 in some self-denial in the way of sugar. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, your student pastor has a sugar problem. I told you we were making sugar cookies. I ate a lot of sugar cookies. When it comes to sugar, I have like this Ariana Grande mentality. Like, I see it, I like it, I want it, I buy it, I got it. Y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all know the song, You Need to Sanctify Your Spotify. Anyway. You're like, Tashawn, you brought up Ariana Grande. But here's the deal. I have this mentality when it comes to sugar. I see it, I like it, I want it, and I just like engage with it, you know? I love sugar. And so here's the reality. Was not practicing self-denial. I was practicing self-indulgence, meaning that whatever my flesh wanted when it comes to sugar, I'm telling y'all, I just engaged in it. See, I got in this rhythm of disciplining my body to literally engage or to partake of anything that I desire. Anything that I desire. And here's the reality. That's not self-denial. That's self-indulgence. Denying self is when you see something and you're like, you know what, man? Like this is probably not going to lead me to the best path. I'm going to choose to stiff arm it, and I'm going to ask the Spirit of God to give me the ability to make a better decision. That is called self-denial. But I had gotten out of the rhythm of denying self. See, Jesus teaches us something in Matthew 16. He says, in order to follow him, we in the same way, we have to deny ourselves of the things that our flesh is naturally drawn to. Did you know that your flesh has a huge appetite? Like the Bible says, the things that we are drawn to are things that bring us destruction. But here's the worst part. We're naturally drawn to those things. Galatians 5:13, Paul says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. Like, y'all, we have been set free from sin's penalty. We've been set free from the world's molds that lead us more and more to brokenness, to destruction, that lead us to these distasteful lives. We've been set free from the sin that keeps us from following Jesus. And that's good news. Here's the reality. Jesus came to set you free, but all too often we're drawn back into the bondage that sin brings. And it's really hard for us to follow Jesus because he's called us to run this race, as Hebrews 12 says, to run this race of faith, keeping our eye on Jesus. But far too often, if we're honest, we keep our eyes on the things that we want. It's like me with sugar. I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it, and I go and I chase after the thing that I want. When Jesus says you are called to be free, free from addiction, free from impure thoughts, free from anger, free from depression, free from jealousy and hatred. These are the things that Christ has set you free from. But far too often, we're naturally drawn back to those things. This is why Galatians 5:13 says this, but don't use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. That's why I love the definition of discipleship. You need to circle this. It says, for the sake of others. For the sake of others, that as we grow in our walk with Jesus, that it should cause us to multiply. And that's how we're going to take the next 5 weeks to talk about how do we do this thing, discipleship, really well. What does it look like to be a student ministry that is marked by this word? That's why discipleship's important. Because you have been free from this bondage of sin, but some of us have yet to surrender to this fact right here. That in order to follow Jesus fully, we have to deny ourselves daily. That in order to follow Jesus fully, we have to deny ourselves daily. This is like a must do. It's really hard to follow Jesus if you spend more time following you and your will and your way than following Jesus. Let's just be honest. It's really hard for us to run this race, keeping our eyes focused on Jesus if all we see is what we want. This is why Jesus starts with a prerequisite. If you're going to be discipled in order to be a disciple of his, to follow him, he starts with this prerequisite. It starts with this. If you don't know what a prerequisite is, you know this in school. If you try and take, algebra 2, it says the prerequisite for algebra 2 is algebra 1. Here's the thing. This is the first thing that you have to do in order to follow Jesus. The prerequisite is denial of self. That you have to be willing to lay down what you want in order to follow Jesus. That you have to be willing to lay down your ways in order to follow Jesus. That there's going to be times in your walk with Jesus that you're going to want to do something that really satisfies you. But you know that this road leads to more brokenness. You know that this road does not lead to other people seeing Jesus. So you have to deny yourself and follow Jesus. Imagine with me for a second. I'm baking cookies with my son, and this actually did happen. Kyron says, hey, you know what, Dad? Can I add some things into it? One of the things that he tried to add into our sugar cookies was chocolate chips. You don't do that. I'm like, son, no, these are not chocolate chip sugar cookies. These are sugar cookies. Like, you cannot just add whatever you want into it. Like, he wants to add the thing that he sees. At one point, I kid you not, he wanted to add extra flour to our sugar cookies because he confused flour with powdered sugar. And I'm like, buddy, like, if we add all this flour, these cookies are gonna be too strong, dull, chalky. Like, it's just gonna be bad. Like, we cannot add an abundance of flour. In the same respect, once he figured out that the recipe called for sugar, oh, I'm telling you, it may call for a fourth a cup of sugar. Kyron's like, Dad, we need to add more. Like, we need to add more sugar. Like, we need to fill these things up with sugar. I'm like, son, we can't fill these things up with sugar because if we fill these things up with sugar, they're going to be way too sweet. They're going to be so sweet. Have you ever tasted something that's so sweet? You're just like, yeah. Like, this is not the way it is. Or some of you are like, hey, no, Tashawn, I really love sweets. Yeah, some of y'all need to jump on the plane that I'm on. Here's the reality. My son, I'm like, buddy, we cannot add whatever we want to add because here's the reality. These cookies may be too dull, too much flour. They may be too sweet, too much sugar, or they're not going to look like a cookie at all. Have y'all ever seen that like Instagram or Pinterest thing? Like you see like people try these things, or maybe you tried something yourself and you like failed at it. Like on Instagram, it looked really easy. Like you saw it and you're like, hey, I can do this, and then it didn't turn out right. As I was prepping for this message, I came across this fail right here. It's like the Cookie Monster cupcakes on top and then like nailed it at the bottom. Like this is what it looks like to do things kind of like our way sometimes. Like you were going for the Cookie Monster cupcakes that look really good, and then like, you know, you got like whatever that is down there. Like I don't even know. It's so bad. Like work with me. Y'all have seen these things that we try that don't turn out the way that we want. Here's the reality. This is a picture of some of our lives. Some of your lives are dull. And the reason why your life is dull, longing for purpose and clarity, and you don't know like why you were created, is because you maybe have added some things that Christ never intended for you to add into your life, but you wanted to do it your way. You saw it, you liked it, you want it, so you got it. Some of you, that's not the case at all. Your lives are too sweet. It's too lavish. Your life is filled with all the things that make you happy, the things that you want to do, and it's about whatever and it's created this consumer mentality, this really, hey, you know what, whatever is pleasurable for me, that's what I want. And I'm telling you, is what your parents have told you for years, that what happens when you eat too much sugar, you're going to what? You're going to get sick, you're going to have a toothache, pick your thing. Here's the reality. Too much of a sweet thing still leads to sourness. So here's my question. What's forming you? What's forming you? If you're looking at advice on how to really examine what's forming you, there's some questions, and we put these questions in the YouVersion app for you to talk about in your fusion groups. If you're watching online, you can just pull up the YouVersion, find our event, and I'm telling you, these questions can really help you really examine what's forming you. One of the questions is this: man, where are my friendships leading me? Where are the friendships in my life leading me? Here's another question. What do I spend most of my time doing? If you're looking for an even more practical way to figure that out, man, open your phone and examine your screen time. Like, what is the thing that is taking up most of your time on your phone? Man, if you say you're being formed by Jesus, let me ask you, how much time do you spend hearing from him? Like, how much time do you spend in his presence, with him? Students, discipleship is not about rules and religion. I do want you to know that the discipleship is not about rules or religion, and it's really interesting to bring that up right at this point, because the thing that I just spent the first 10 minutes talking about were some things for you to consider doing. But I want you to understand this, that discipleship requires work, but it's not about your works. Like, discipleship requires work, but it's not about your works at all. It's not about the rules and religion. It's about relationship. This is 1 John 3 and verse 1. It says this, "See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him." Do you recognize that you are a child of God? Like you get to have a relationship with God. Yeah, I'm glad you are excited about the fact that we get to have a relationship with the creator of the universe. That's wild. Here's the deal. I don't need claps. I want this to sit in your heart. That the God of the cosmos wants to have a relationship with you. Here's what's interesting. So yesterday, my son and I, this is yesterday. My son and I, we went out we were having a guys' night. I was like, "Hey, buddy, let's have a guys' night." And he's like, "A guy's night?" I'm like, "Yeah, a guy's night. Let's go get some food, and then we're going to go get a cookie." And I know I said I'm cutting sugar, but it was just for this thing. Don't judge me. Don't start. Don't start. I see how some of y'all looking like, "Oh, they're trying to cookie." Yep. Here's the deal, all right? I took an exception from my son. So here's the deal. I take Kyron out to Texas Roadhouse, because where else are we going to go? And we went out to Texas Roadhouse to not get a steak, but I got a salad. Yeah, there you go. And he got some chicken tenders. And we're just sitting there and we're having a conversation. And it's so interesting. We started driving to Crumble Cookies. And he said, "Hey, Dad, what did I do?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean, what did you do?" He said, "What did I do to like to earn this cookie?" If you've not had a conversation with my son, I'm telling you, this is how he would talk. He's asking and trying to figure out, hey, what did he do to earn this time with his father? And because usually there's times when we reward him because of things that he is growing up doing. If he starts to pee on the potty, all this stuff that, I have to navigate with a 4-year-old. So he's like, "What did I do to earn this time?" And I said, "You know what, buddy? What did you do?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "So why are we out?" I said, "Because I love you, son." I said, "You're my son, and I wanted to spend time with you. Man, I just want to spend time with you." And hopefully I'm thinking here as a dad, as I spend time with my son, he can see how I'm talking to him. I'm trying to shape him and grow him to be a little man, then eventually a young man, then eventually an adult man, to eventually to follow Jesus as I'm following Jesus. That's the goal. And so I'm trying to teach him what it looks like to love his mother, to talk to his mom as he sees me talk to his mom, and what are the things and areas that he sees right now. And one of the things, I'll never forget this, I had an argument with my wife, and Kyron was around. We don't like to argue in front of our kids, but we're getting real here tonight. Sometimes it happens. And I remember taking Kyron on a walk, and I said, "Hey, Kyron, was I nice to mommy just now?" He said, "No." I said, "Hey, buddy, when you see your dad being unkind to mommy, I want you to ask me a question." And he does. Why? Because he's watching. And so I take him out to spend time with him, to show him this is what it looks like to own your stuff. This is what it looks like to be a little man. The reason why I'm sharing this with you, students, is because I'm trying to help you see that the way you build and grow in your relationship with Jesus is by looking at other men and women who are further along in their faith and asking them to model the way for you. And as you do that, you grow in your walk with Jesus. You become shaped into Christ's image as they've been shaped into his image. So let me ask you this question. How's your relationship with Jesus? How's your relationship with Jesus? As I've grown in ministry and spent more time in student ministry, one of the questions that I ask people who are in the faith is not, "Hey, how's your walk?" But I ask them how their relationship with Jesus is. Why do I ask them that? Because for me, for the longest time, I remember having this head knowledge of Christ. Like this head knowledge of Christ that didn't lead to whole transformation, but it was this, I felt like this head knowledge so I could know more things about God, but it didn't cause me to really have a heart for God. And this led to this empty feeling when it came to me in faith, until one day I'm in college and I'm still learning more things about God, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do to know more about God. And I remember my campus pastor grabs me by my shirt and he says, "Tashad, I want you to understand something. God loves you. It's not about what you can do for Christ. It's about how you're his son. He loves you. It's not about religion and rules. It's about relationships." Students, Jesus desires us to have a relationship with him. And he knows that this will lead us to us becoming ultimately more like him, the best version of ourselves. Jesus desires us to have a relationship with him that will lead us to becoming more like him, ultimately becoming the best version of ourselves. Like that's what he desires for us. But here's the reality. It's not of ourself for ourself. See, he wants you to become the best version of yourself, but it's not for yourself. It's not for you. Discipleship is a process of being formed into the image of Christ for the sake of others. It's for the sake of others. Why should you grow in your relationship with Christ? Because there's people out in your schools, people who you come across maybe in your co-op, people who you come across at your job who don't know the love of God. And the call for you as someone who is in the faith is to go and make disciples. That our faith is not about us, that our faith is meant to be lived out. Why? For the sake of others. Imagine with me for a second, if I grew spiritually in my walk with Christ, but I never used that growth practically in my relationships. Like my growth prepared me to be a better husband, father, friend, pastor. All those things came as a result of me being discipled by someone who is further along in my faith. What that means for you seniors, you're preparing to be great coworkers, wonderful friends, or even to disciple someone else. Freshmen, you should be preparing to influence those who are younger in the faith in such a way that draws young people to you. Sixth graders, go find some older students who are living for Jesus in a way that makes you go up to them and ask, hey, listen, can you show me what it looks like to follow Christ? This message is for all of us. That all of us here tonight have a next step to ask someone to help you follow Jesus so that you can be the best version of yourself for the sake of others. See, when Kyron was born, I remember he had this special relationship with his mom. And I can tell you why he had a special relationship with his mom. Because she carried him in her belly for 9 months. That produces a very special relationship. And so over time, I had to grow and develop a relationship with my son. How did I do that? Time spent with. Time spent with. How much time do you spend with Christ? Man, some of us have said for years and years and years, I want to grow in my walk with Jesus. I'm challenging you to change your wording. Grow in your relationship with Jesus. That there's no way that you can grow in relationship with someone if you don't spend time with them. Some of us in here have a tension with relationship, if we're honest. Because of sin in this world's different molds that it offers us is broken so many relationships that we have a hard time even wanting to take a first step to grow in a relationship with anyone, because to grow in a relationship, you got to get past some hurt and some pain that has happened in your life. Maybe it happened with your father. Maybe your father didn't take you out to Texas Roadhouse. Maybe your mother doesn't desire to have a relationship with you in that way. And so in order for you to take this next step, you got to go to the throne room, to the presence of God, and ask him to help you grow in this area so that you can be a better version of yourself for the sake of others. Because you spent too much time being angry. You spent too much time stiff-arming relationship. If you desire to become more like Jesus but don't spend time with him, is that possible? What are you going to do about that? Notice how I didn't ask what you want to do. We can all want to do things. I asked, what are you going to do? There's a difference. What are you going to do? What's the next step that you need to take here tonight? Some of you today need to pray about being discipled by someone who is further along in their faith. And man, we're going to lay out some pro tips on this topic as we look at discipleship through the lens of Jesus. Imagine if Fusion was marked by true followers of Christ who were hungry to grow in his likeness. Turn to your neighbor and say, You'll know your cue of when to say this. Imagine if Fusion was marked by true followers of Christ who are hungry to grow in his likeness. Some of you missed your cue. And let me tell you why you missed your cue. Listen, some of you missed your cue because you have yet to realize the impact that this could have on this ministry, the impact that this could have in your life, the impact that this could have in your school, the impact that this could have in your home. Imagine if Fusion was marked by true followers of Christ who are hungry to grow in his likeness. That's crazy. That would be exciting. But here's the deal. It's not a matter of want. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do? So here's the thing. We've given you an easy way. If you say, hey, man, I want to take a next step here. I need to be discipled or I want to disciple someone. Here's what I know to be true, that for those of you students, listen to me, who have been following Jesus for a period of time, and you've grown in your faith, you've matured in your faith, and you're attending all the Bible studies, you're doing those things, but you have yet to sit down with someone else and show the way. I'm telling you, it's time to stop being a consumer. It's time to get in the game. It's time to take a next step for the sake of others. This is about multiplication. We're going to dive into that. Man, have you discipled someone, shown them the truth of what someone showed you? Man, if you have yet to experience the growth that can happen by being discipled, man, we would love to help you take a next step. So there's this QR code that's up here on the screen. You can scan this QR code with your phone. Whether you want to disciple someone, here's the reality. To make this work, we need students not only who say, hey, yeah, I want to be discipled, but we need students who are going to disciple some other people. It's time that we have students in this ministry being found at their school, being found at post, being found at the library, being found at their home, being found at the church, discipling other students. It's time, juniors, seniors, it's time to find the 6th or 7th grader and stop saying, well, I'm just getting too old for Fusion. Stop that. You're too old for that. It's time for you to stop making your faith about you and start thinking, for the sake of others, I must think multiplication. Stop waiting and longing for the next thing, for the next Bible study, for the next message, and it's time to get in the game. It's time to take a next step. And it's time for those who have said yes to Jesus and you haven't seen growth, it's time for you to take a step and grow. Man, I'm telling you, it's the most wonderful thing that can happen. This is the biggest pro tip in life that I could give you. This is the one thing that can make you better at life, is to be discipled by someone who is further in their faith. Pray with me. Father, we love you. Lord, I'm thankful for your word, that your word stands true. Lord, I pray for this student ministry, that we would be a ministry marked by students who are hungry to grow in their faith and marked by those who are trying to help others grow in their faith for the sake of your kingdom, that it wouldn't be about us, that it would be all about you. I'd be remiss if I didn't take this time to also give another step, and it's for those who don't know Christ. You've yet to place your faith in Jesus. Man, I love to pray for you, because the first step for you is following Jesus. And if you have yet to place your faith in Jesus by confessing that he is Lord and believing in your heart that God has raised him, that's Jesus, from the dead, man, I would love to give you an opportunity, and I love to pray for you. If that's you and you say, hey, you know what, Tashawn, with every head bow and every eye closed, I've yet to do that. I need to take a first step. Can I just see your hand? Will you just be so bold to raise your hand? I'd love to pray for you. I want to pray for you. I see that hand. Right in the middle, I see that hand. I want to pray for you. Father, Lord, you do say that if we would confess that you're Lord, that our way is not the best way, that we have sin in our lives, and this sin has caused us to fall short of your glory, to fall short in life. But you sent your son Jesus to die on a cross for our sin, to take away the penalty of that sin. We believe this student raised their hand, Lord, they're asking that you would save them. For those who need to pray this prayer, I want you to know that it's not about the prayer, it's about the heart. And the difference between head knowledge and heart transformation is that our heart really does inform our action. That you will know that you believe something by what you choose to do. And I pray that God would fill you with his spirit as he will, that this would be a true heart prayer, and you turn from your ways and follow Jesus. And Father, we'll give you all the glory, the honor, and the praise. And everyone said, amen. Hey, can we give God some praise tonight? Hey, so we're going to end just a little bit different, and we're just going to go right into a time of groups and community. But before we do, I want to give you just a few announcements. One is that tonight is a late night. So what that means that right here after our service, we're going to be having some pizza, and it's going to be a really, really awesome time. We got pizza for high schoolers over here in the main building. We got pizza over in the core building for the middle schoolers after groups. And man, if you're a VIP, I want to welcome you to the VIP experience. And next week, if you bring a VIP, wow, I just pulled this up on my notes. There's going to be Chick-fil-A for you next week if you bring a friend to Fusion. That's exciting. And so, man, here's the deal. I'm going to encourage y'all in your groups to set some goals, eat some pizza, and just to let you know, there's going to be some merch sales after all that's over. Love you guys. See you next week as we continue in our series called ProTip.